women with penises. As you know, these days, huge numbers of women are hung like stallions, and apparently that's the way the coppers like it, so that's what they spend the whole day investigating. In September, Kellie-Jay Keen, founder of the group Standing for Women, went to Brighton for a rally called Let Women Speak. 2 months later, the Sussex police telephoned.
So someone has actually made an allegation against you about a hate crime. So we do actually need to speak to you about that matter as part of our investigation.
Yeah.
So what we do need to do, we need to get you to come down to Brighton, ideally, so we can have this voluntary interview.
And when you say hate crime, specifically what hate crime would it be? Because I think to be a hate crime, there has to actually be a crime. So what is the hate? What is the hate attached to?
I'm going to read out. So it's the crime is use of words or behaviour to stir up hatred on the grounds of sexual orientation. So basically, it's going to be a voluntary interview. So it's the story as well. So, you know, we're not putting anything against you. You can bring a solicitor with you if you'd like. It's just so we can bottom out your side of what's gone on.
Oh, your side of what's gone on. And all you have to do is give up a day to travel from Wiltshire to Brighton with your solicitor. Kellie-Jay Keen joins me now. What is this all in reference to? Because as I recall from your event in September, it was in fact the trans activists who were masked and rather menacing in their masks who disrupted your event.
Yeah, they did. I mean, a baby was called a Nazi and a fascist and sworn at, but that was one of the local Labour staff members. So, yeah, the trans activists are terribly badly behaved. They like to intimidate women. There were a few arrests. One of the people arrested, not necessarily on the TRA side, but certainly shouting at women, had a bag of knives. So, and also everything I said had a policewoman about 2 meters away from me, so she could hear every single word I said. This is a phishing exercise. This is because trans activists, particularly men who call themselves women, think that they can silence women by any means necessary, and that includes using the police. This is my 5th time having the police wanting to talk to me because I'm an activist, and I'm an accidental activist. I'm not some sort of dyed-in-the-wool activist who just finds a brand new cause, but I was interviewed under caution for 6 tweets back in 2018. That same year, I was interviewed again for 2 comments on YouTube at the behest of Susie Green. I was arrested and put in the cells for actually having a political meeting during lockdown. And then I had 2 police at my house only a few months ago because I was being untoward about paedophiles. And now we've got this.
Yeah. Well, it's great to know that the police, who don't investigate burglary, don't investigate grooming gangs, but they will investigate people who say mean things about paedophiles. Why are the police like? I mean, I really can barely express my contempt for the British police these days. But why is it that no matter how many politicians warn them to stop wasting time like this, they have decided that the priority of British policing is transgender activism?
Well, because they've been captured ideologically by Stonewall with the Stonewall Diversity and Inclusion Index, which they pay a handsome sum. My own police force has spent £10,000 on that in the last 4 years. And I can tell you, I certainly don't feel any safer. So it's really, I think we've got into a culture in this country more generally, not just the police, although you would expect the police to be immune, of virtue signaling as opposed to doing something. So if I'm running a council and I don't necessarily have lots of access for people with disabilities to come to work, but I can put a pride flag up, then I can tell everyone that I'm kind and inclusive, even if I have absolutely no intention of making some people in my locality have an easier access to coming in and being employed by me.
But as J.K. Rowling, in a supportive tweet for you, pointed out, these people advertising how kind they are actually the kind going around masked and breaking up your event. And there's something disturbing about the way the forces of law enforcement have taken one side in. I mean, they're harassing you. This lady on the telephone to you basically threatened to, she said, oh, it's voluntary for you to come to Brighton, but if you don't come voluntarily, we're going to have you arrested. So it's the point is to make an example of you so that 10,000 other people who might happen to agree with you decide they're just going to keep their heads down on this.
Yeah, I think it is partly that. I think, look, often in these situations, there's some people with nefarious reasons, and there's a lot of incompetence and stupidity, and that seems to be what is happening mostly for the police force. So, my organisation, Standing for Women, we did a survey of a big research project into all of the police forces in the country, and there is not one that differentiates a female officer from an officer who calls himself a woman. Not one. So that will mean in places in that police force or in the role of a police officer, if they have to search a female suspect, for example, or they have to be the female officer, it might not be a female at all. And the reason that that's happening is because the government is gutless. The government won't actually make decisions on this, and they leave it to the police constable. And the police constable, or rather the chief of police, is not going to put himself at risk because he might lose his job.
Yeah. No, you're right about that. We did. Thank you very much, Kellie-Jay. Let us know, because if we'll be back with you if these bozos at the Sussex Police do decide to send a team to arrest you, because this thing has gotten out of hand now. It's a complete betrayal of Sir Robert Peel's entire legacy of British policing, where he said the police are the public and the public are the police. This is terrible. We did ask the Chief Constable of Sussex Police to join us. That would be a lady called Jo Shiner, who becomes the latest Chief Constable to decline to appear on this show. There she is. There's Chief Constable Shiner. We're trying to collect the entire set. I think West Mercia's was the first to decline to appear on this show. Andy Freeman of Sussex Police did, though, respond. We are aware of a recording of a call between a police officer and individual in relation to an investigation in Brighton from September. The individual was asked to assist with our inquiries by attending a voluntary interview. We're reviewing the matter and will liaise with the parties involved directly.